Person one loves person two. Guess what? Shenanigans ensue. Person one hates person two. Guess what? Still shenanigans ensue. Person one fake dates person two. Guess what? You guessed it. Shenanigans ensue. Co-host one reports to co-host two. The name of the show? Shenanigans ensue. Yeah. Hello, I'm Jasmine.
And I'm Jane, and welcome to Shenanigans Ensue.
A podcast where, like, I could tip a cow by myself.
Why are we tipping cows at all?
I'm worried about their ability to get back up.
I know.
Honestly.
Each episode we'll watch a rom-com and discuss its merits as a member of the rom-com genre.
We'll cover well-worn classics, hidden gems, and everything in between.
We'll give you our unsolicited opinion on every trope, caper, and flim-flam the film used, or maybe abused.
And of course,
the shenanigans.
We have a possibly controversial episode coming at you today.
Oh my word. This was not a caveat that I was expecting to give for this movie.
No,
I will
truly.
start by saying that.
If you hear the name of this film and you're not ready for some severe criticisms, not entirely negative, but you're probably going to want to change that channel.
Also, if you've watched this movie last in the early 2000s and you have really good, fond memories of it that you don't want to be tarnished.
Correct.
Leave her be.
Leave her in the aughts.
Yeah.
She not leave the aughts, please. And that film is Sweet Home Alabama,
where the skies are so blue.
Ba 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 da da.
Had to.
I mean, obviously, they play the song like thrice.
Including right at the end,
I know.
the romantic, make it a slow one, and they play the song, and I'm like, I mean,
That's not a slow. It's a mid-tempo at best.
Yes. But whatever.
So yeah, I definitely, like Jane mentioned, have extremely fond memories of this film.
Oh, absolutely.
I was coming in ready for a honky-tonk good time. And like many things from the 90s and aughts, though, she aged not fantastic. She got a little sun damage, maybe. I don't know.
I was reminded so much of other movie, I think maybe even of the same year that we covered on the pod, which is Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. And with that movie, she aged pretty well.
Yeah, nothing too crazy.
No, this was bananas.
Yeah.
Still a lot to enjoy.
Yeah.
But it was just an odd experience. I think especially because we were blindsided.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
That contributed to it a lot.
Because I do have fond memories of it, so
Yeah.
it just got a little bit like, ugh. And I've mentioned this so many times before. Anytime we do a film that's before 2010, I clench a little bit going into the film. This film, I was fully unclenched, so I got hit pretty hard.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a peak above those rose-tinted glasses, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's so much to like about this movie. We have early 2000s Patrick Dempsey, Reese Witherspoon, Josh Lucas just acting their freaking hearts out.
Truly. Oh my gosh. When I tell you that watching poorly written rom-coms being acted so beautifully has, I think, made me a better actor in person. I keep seeing it happen. I was like, wow, look at the lack of irony. Wow, look at the commitment.
Yeah.
How can I put more of that into my life? Oh my gosh.
So this is going to be a weird episode, I think. Yeah.
Again, we did mention, if you don't want to hear anything negative about it, it's probably time to change the channel. But if you don't mind some critiques, we didn't have an awful time. It just...
No.
Some bits don't age well, But with the context of what the 90s and aughts put us through, I think that you can allow for a little bit of grace because it's not too bad.
No, and I feel like the climate, especially the political climate, if we are going to go there,
I certainly am in my head.
yeah, was very different then to how it became in America.
Yeah.
From the 20 teens on. It was just different. We touched on this briefly with Made in Manhattan. That kind of love story in that movie wouldn't really exist today. It would just ideologically not work.
Right. That's part of what gave me some bad feelings about it now. And that's definitely 100% colored by my own political leanings and opinions on a lot of things. Because now, if this movie were produced the way that it is, I know people like to do war reenactments. I know older gentlemen love their LARPing historical battles. I don't necessarily begrudge that, but this strong feelings towards the Confederacy that they show in this film, like, if I watched this now, Reese Witherspoon's character Melanie, I'd be honestly concerned that her father was at January 6th. Like, no lie. So the tension around it is a little bit squishy now.
Yeah. So all of that said, it wasn't a bad time.
No.
It was just a sticky time.
Yeah. So I hope that you'll bear with us, and I hope that it's still a fun time, because there's so much still to like.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get into it by hitting that plot synopsis.
All right. When Mel's boyfriend Andrew proposes, she is thrilled.
There's just one problem she needs to fix before she can marry the handsome politician.
She needs to go home to Alabama to convince her husband, Jake, to give her a divorce. Shenanigans ensue. Yikes.
Just a minor teensy little problem.
I know that they bake it into the plot that she's only been with Andrew for 8 months, so she is a little bit blindsided.
Yeah.
But girl, you needed to have handled this any of the, 8 years you've been away?
Yes, she's been gone for 8 years.
Honey baby.
Oh, sweetie pie. Also, is it baked into the plot that then Andrew is the first serious relationship she's had in this time where she's not felt motivated to go down there? Or is she just so traumatized? I don't really want to be blaming the victim here because honestly, Jake should have given her that divorce.
He should have.
Years ago.
But the fact that she's frantically searching for how to do a contested divorce 8 years down the line, you needed to be handling this a long time ago.
That's also true. Freaking yikes.
At this point, she's abandoned him. She could probably get a pretty easy, granting,
Yeah.
So many years have passed.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's lots of documentation of her attempting again and again and again to file for divorce.
But to your point, I don't condone her being with Jake because that's so manipulative and controlling. That's so creepy and sketchy. That's red flag central. That's if one of my girlfriends told me they were going back and the ex wouldn't give her a divorce, I'd be like, you need to sort this out because this is going to turn into a true crime really soon.
That's what I was thinking. This is the preamble of a true crime.
Please, I'm concerned for your safety.
Oh. It is hugely problematic that he is holding her hostage, essentially, by forcing her to remain married to him. And it's played for romantic. He was just trying to get his life together, so he had the grounds to win you back. No.
And she goes all the way home, gets Stockholmed by him, and then decides to stay married with him. And I guess they have their beautiful family and it worked out, and I'm really happy that he didn't chop her into pieces and bury her somewhere. But I would not want any of my girlfriends to do what she did.
I would not be enabling that delusion. No. Oh, goodness. I feel stressed just talking about it. Because, of course, it's a rom-com, so it ends happily. But,
yeah, that's one of those things where, of course, in film land, everything worked out. Hooray! But in real life, Fellas, please do not do that.
No, please don't.
Please do not hold your lady hostage and not sign the paperwork. If you need to contest for valid reasons, contest, stuff gets sorted in a couple of years. But you can't hold somebody hostage.
No, because you're trying to win them back.
Yeah.
In the movie, it works out in his favor, but that's typically not the way to win someone back.
Right. And to be clear, this is for ladies too. I said fellas, but I mean everyone.
Yes,
Please
yes,
don't
yes.
hold somebody hostage. Yeah, that disclaimer, don't try this at home.
Hot take. The last time I watched this movie, I was a teenager, and I just remember being really upset that she didn't choose Patrick Dempsey's character. And I really wanted to know if my opinion changed watching this as an adult or if I was just super in love with Patrick Dempsey at the time.
No.
I feel more strongly about the fact that she should have chosen Andrew.
Oh, absolutely.
Because, wowee.
Number one, just for practical reasons, what a better, easier life.
Yes.
Number two, he's not serving abuse vibes.
No.
Number three, yes, he has mommy issues, but that's nothing a few years of therapy couldn't fix.
And he's standing up to mommy, you know. He's fully, like, standing in his own power as an adult.
He does have a few moments where you're not sure if he likes her or if he's gotten engaged to get back at his mom. But I think he clarifies at the end that it is about her and the sweetness of it is real. And the other part was just him working through his own feelings. Like, and that's fair. We all have things.
Number four, he's super supportive.
Supportive.
Like, super supportive. 5, he's kind. And 6, he's McDreamy.
Yeah,
like,
honestly. 7, he got after hours private Tiffany for you.
Yes.
Girl, the fact that you're getting a Tiffany ring, number one, I'm already sold. Number two, he shut down that store for you and got an after hours.
With, like, the entire staff.
And he's the mayor's son in New York. Do you know how many events you get to go to if you're the mayor's son's fiance? Every event, Jane. That's number 8 on the list, actually.
What, events? Events is a separate category.
Yes.
Number 9, he's so courteous.
So many numbers.
Yes, he helps her parents save face. He's like, I mean, I guess he's a politician, but he still does it in such a classy way. Mm-hmm. If you folks can take care of the rehearsal dinner, we'll take care of the rest like we want to. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Number 10.
So sweet.
I don't have any more after this. He might be the president one day.
That could be a green or red flag, depending on how much you want your life to be in the spotlight.
She's already.
But also, she's ramping up to be a celebrity in her own right, so whatever, she can handle it.
Are you kidding? And she's a designer.
Yes.
I know some women, this is like a nightmare, and I do not begrudge any women who are like, you have a law degree and now you have to go worry about how the White House looks for Christmas. Like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But if you're a fashion designer and this whole holiday season, all I'm doing is dressing the White House, please, I'm so thrilled. This is perfect.
Yes. Moral of the story is...
She picked the wrong one.
Yeah. Feel free to send us any more additions to the list of 10 that you think... supports why she chose wrong.
Or if you stand for Jake.
Oh, yeah.
Then please tell us about it too. I'm fine hearing about it.
Yeah.
I could be proven wrong. Tell me about it.
Yes, I would like to know.
All of my bullet points were extremely shallow. Jane had really nice things to say about his personality.
I don't think yours were all shallow.
Mostly shallow. I'm fine with that. I can live with that.
My word. Well, our love triangle for me and Jasmine is looking more like a obtuse triangle than an isosceles. But
one side of this triangle is a very clear and direct short path towards happiness, and the other one is way too long and far away. What are you doing? Yeah.
There's some rare math humor for this podcast. Don't get used to it.
It'll never happen again.
And I spoke really slowly because I wasn't sure if I was remembering it correctly.
Either you got it correct or I was equally wrong. So
No,
I think
I
we're
think I'm good. Whatever, I don't care. Everyone knows that maths is not my thing. Well, you know. Anyway, let's hit those tropes.
Speaking of, first on the list is love triangle.
Yeah.
We've also got a rekindled love. Ugh.
Yeah.
We have big city girl, small town boy. I just, for this film specifically, I see small town or southern or anything, I want to be like, honky tonk boy. Just want to substitute honky tonk. We've got a hidden identity. Woo.
Spooky.
It just feels like people are being shady, and so I'm like, it's happening in the shadows. I don't know why that makes me want to be spooky.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, who is she?
Ooh.
We've got some very silly montages. We've got a clear fish out of water.
Oh, yeah.
Or like fish swims upstream to a new land and then swims back to her place and doesn't fit there anymore. I don't know.
Or like fish that is like taken out of river that was happy in to be returned to a fish tank.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
And then finally, we've got a meddling family on both ends.
Yeah, on both ends. It should be meddling mom TM, but...
It is meddling mom TM.
Yeah.
Jake's mom doesn't stop meddling.
Mhm.
Melanie's mom doesn't stop meddling. And Andrew's mom doesn't stop meddling.
True.
It's every mom.
I'd forgotten about Jake's mom, but yes, her too.
Jake's mom serves the weirdest
I know.
victim blaming at the end. Okay, I'm just...
Okay, where do you want to start?
I want to start... I guess I'm going to start a fish out of water.
Okay.
Because this was one of the first things that I felt like I wanted to talk about when we finished watching the film, which was that the fish out of water thing, I joked to Jane that they've taken this woman who's been in the city for long enough that she's a city folk now, plopped her back into the South. And not only is it a fish out of water, but somehow in my head, I wondered, had they time traveled? Because I don't know where are the black people at the bar.
Ish. Or anywhere really, other than work.
Thank you. Why are the black people only working? Why? Are they not allowed at this pool hall? Where are they?
It was a very weird choice.
It was.
Because it was a choice.
Because then back in New York City, the black guy is her mentor.
Yeah.
He helped her on her path and is loving and not competitive. And it's like clearly important. And then it's like they're saying in the South, be at your job.
Yeah.
It's literally just the maid, the guy at the post office, and the security guard at the bank.
I
didn't like that. That shit bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happened.
Because it wasn't done in a way where it's making a comment or observation, right?
Right.
What you've said is pointing more to how it could be saying something, but it doesn't go there. Understandably, it's a rom-com. So then why do it at all?
Yeah.
It was confusing.
Like, literally anyone else. Like, the character that had, kids at the bar, or one of the guys in the friend group. Anyone but Czar.
Ish.
Well, that was my brain being like, fish out of water, it's a period piece now. What do you want to start on?
I don't know. I think we have spoken about the love triangle quite a bit, but I guess to give it its due in the tropes section specifically. In terms of the love triangle, I do like that they present the Andrew character really well, the other option. Because oftentimes with the love triangle, there's a clear choice. And this time, maybe they did a bit too well in presenting us with the other choice.
Yeah.
We're like, she made a mistake. Much like When a Date with Tad Hamilton, where we were also really unhappy that she ended up with sad boy Pete.
I would have been unhappy with either man, so...
That's also true.
We've already discussed this.
Yeah, we were unhappy with both of them. We've discussed this.
Yes, the only correct answer is that she ends up with Catherine Hahn.
Yes.
And I still stand by it.
Absolutely. That is canon forever.
Canon.
Anyway, they do a good job of fleshing out her relationship with both of these men, and it's very interesting, and it's just messy. It's really messy. Because, girl, make a decision sooner. When her lawyer tracks her down as she's walking down the aisle because she forgot to sign the papers, she is literally about to marry Andrew, and now... Like, it's not even the 11th hour, it's the 12th hour. Now you're like, I don't know, maybe I should just throw it all away to go back to my ex, not really husband. We'll figure the rest out. I don't know what he's like as a person. We've spent a couple weeks together for the first time in 7 years after having, by all accounts, not a great relationship to begin with.
Right.
This will be great.
The only known character trait is that he is creepily obsessive because he's held this flame for 8 years for no reason.
Yeah.
It's not great.
That's not romantic. People change a lot in 7-8 years. How does he even know that he still wants to be with her?
So something, too, that drives me crazy about all of that, and I think something they could have remedied about that, is adults making films need to stop having tiny little children in these overly romantic scenes.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel natural. How old are they? Like 8, 9? That's too romantic for an 8, 9-year-old. Please stop. Number 2, that opening scene should have been a montage of their romance as young adults.
Yeah, that would have been so cute.
If I knew what they were like from 16 to 20 when she leaves, I might be on board.
Yes, you could convince me.
Yeah.
Because there's reference to it.
There is something about that high school sweetheart.
Your first love, you know.
Yeah.
But we don't get to see that.
Show me.
Yeah.
That whole entire scene with the glass and the lightning could have happened when they were 16 instead.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know why it had to be when they were children. It's kind of weird.
Please stop.
Yeah.
Or, like, do it the way children would do it. Like, he ran over and was like, I really like you. And then kisses her on the cheek and runs away.
Yeah.
Like a kid thing. And then show them at 16 and then show them at 18 and then show her moving away. You know what I mean? Like, I need more context, please.
Yes. More context was needed to get us on board choosing him.
Yeah.
Especially because they're just fighting all the time. And his actions are inexcusable. So it's really difficult to get on board with them as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I never did.
You can't. But I guess they just really wanted it to be Dakota Fanning. So they went with that age.
Couldn't wait 10 years to make this movie.
I will touch quickly on the montages.
Yeah.
Montages. They're not like hugely fun, silly montages or like all that integral. They're just like kind of contextual montages, which is really fun anyhow. There's when Melanie gets engaged to Andrew, the press blow up her spot in front of everybody when she didn't want to announce it. And so we get a montage of all of the newspaper headlines, which is really fun.
We love a newspaper headline montage.
It's very funny every time. It's serving opening sequence of Tad Hamilton. And then we've got the really fun epilogue montage, which is just a snapshots montage, like tiny little vignettes of them kind of putting their life together, which, thank God, they moved to New York, because if she got trapped in that small town...
Oh, that would be so bleak.
Right? If she got trapped in that small town and had to abandon her extremely successful fashion career, I would have broken my computer that I was watching it on. I can't... Nope.
Yeah. It was much needed, because otherwise you best believe Jazz and I would have been bitching a lot about this couple.
Yeah.
How's it going to work? Is he going to move there? Is she going to move to the south? What's happening?
Yeah.
So you spared thanks to this end montage.
Especially since the messaging her own mother has given her her entire life is get out of this town.
Run away.
Don't get stuck here like I did. I may love your father, but I have ended up in a miserable life. Don't be me, which is like grim, and it pulls, God, my heart.
Yeah.
If she ended up getting stuck after all of that her mom said, no, I could not.
Especially because we see her looking at life there with some sort of nostalgia and fondness, but the character never says anything like, oh, I never realized how much I missed the small town life, or there's a real magic about the community here. Like, she doesn't say anything like that. So it just doesn't make sense.
I think they do a really good job of doing that, though, from the other characters.
Yes.
I was really moved by the fact that when the solicitor came
Yeah.
to tell her about the divorce forms not being filled correctly, every person at the diner, thinking that this was a reporter, shut him down. They stonewalled the hell out of him.
That was lovely. I got
Yeah.
chills. I think they did a great job of establishing that. I'm just saying, Melanie herself, there's nothing where we see she's moved enough to be like, oh, this is actually what I wanted all
Right.
along, you know, to stay home, raise the kids, support my husband with his business. Nothing like that. So I'm glad we see a different ending.
I guess like that doesn't bother me as much because the town establishes it so well. I don't need to see it from her perspective. We've built in that like this small town living has some tremendous positives.
Yeah. But anyway, it's fixed.
Yes.
He moves to New York and becomes very successful in his own right. With
Yeah.
his glass making.
Really beautiful pieces too.
Oh, stunning. My goodness.
Yeah, so that's very exciting. I do think it's fun that an artist ends up with another artist. So I'm not like fully against it, but I think if they had been separated for say 2 years, then he's still not ready to let go. That would have been a little bit more acceptable, but it's, oh man, the 8 years is rough.
So rough. It's almost a decade.
No, it's a little squishy. Do we want to talk about any more of the tropes, or do we want to just like hop into some shenanigans, which will probably hit those tropes?
Yeah, I think we can hop into the shenanigans. Some of the tropes kind of intersect.
Right? Big city girl, small town boy is exemplified through the shenanigans.
Oh, absolutely.
And the hidden identity shenanigans. Like,
Yes, there's plenty of shenanigans with the hidden identity stuff, which is why I didn't want to talk about it in the tropes. But
shenanigans!
shenanigans.
So there is something really fun to showing big city country life juxtaposed against one another.
Yeah.
I do feel like there were certain parts of it that were in either direction a little cruel. And I think that it was maybe more fun back then. And I think that that's my experience of how toxic everything is now, that this is a little too polarizing.
Yeah, the Confederate flag pillows in the living room.
God. Oh, to be honest, I think that's the Alabama state flag.
Oh, really? I wouldn't know enough, so apologies.
No, it's just one of those situations where it's like,
Intertwined?
yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's a state flag. It just looks like the, yeah.
Anyway.
I really love the scene in the bar, especially with how everyone embraces her so quickly. Her first day back in town, everyone stops to bother her in their silly ways.
Oh, it's so sweet.
It's nice to see kind of the reveal of who she is as a person when she is back in her hometown.
Yes. And how she is in New York mode when like Bobby Ray is catcalling her from his truck as she's
Yeah.
walking down the street and she's ready to go off on him.
It's really, really cute.
And then she realizes who it is and their reunion is really sweet.
Oh man, speaking of Bobby Ray, that bar scene where she outs him in front of the entire bar.
Oh, yeah.
While I think the line itself is very funny, I was talking to my friend the other day, and it's one of their favorite lines in the whole film, and they say it all the time to their friends. Why don't you go to a gay bar? It's a very funny thing to say, but not in the context of outing your friend to the whole community.
No, not when you outing your friend.
God.
Oh, no. And then the other friend who's like, why would Bobby Ray go to a gay bar?
And then he sidles out of frame after realizing, oh my God. I do appreciate the fact that Jake quickly does an assessment of the friend group.
Yes.
No one has a problem with it, right? Right? Great. Come on and hang. Bobby, you want a beer? Great. I'm glad that we've established that it doesn't matter to the friendships.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we established that Bobby moves to the city and marries the other fashion designer.
Yes. I like that it's dealt with very decisively, like they take a very strong stance.
Yeah.
And Bobby Ray also delivers such a funny line when Mel is trying to bamboozle the reporter.
Mm-hmm.
She's taken the reporter into the closet, and Bobby Ray is like, Melanie, what are you doing in the closet? Like, it was funny.
It is really funny. In its own early 2000s way, it was trying to address that subject.
Yeah.
And in that way, we can celebrate it. But I don't know that that's the best way to exemplify it. Also, I think that there could have been an opportunity to show how traumatically awful it would have been for Bobby to be outed like that.
Horrific.
And I don't think that the severity of the situation was leaned into enough.
And frankly, how dangerous it could have been.
So dangerous.
This is not New York.
I'm glad they addressed it. I'm glad that they took such a strong, supportive stance for Bobby.
Especially for the time.
But it's just...
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you have a fun shenanigan?
I want to talk about Mel and Jake's first encounter where they shot at each other and Jake storms into the house and he's like trying to lock all the entry points and he's pulling down the blind, but he can't do it properly, so he breaks the whole thing off and is running and slipping over his laundry or whatever. And then cut to, he's noticing the dog is outside on the porch. Cut to again, Mel on the chair. And she's like, did you forget that I have a hider key? Which in and of itself is very funny. But the running joke
is that she never told him where she put the hider key.
Yes. He has no idea where it is.
I mean, honestly, good for you. You knew he was going to lock you out, so you've been hiding that damn key.
Yeah, well done.
If he cared enough, he could have changed the locks.
Exactly.
He makes enough money.
So that was really fun.
So good.
And then when she does it the second time, she goes down to the bank to make a withdrawal. She has to do it in person. There's no ATM. The teller's like, oh, you want to make a withdrawal from your joint checking account? Wink, wink.
You are married still, aren't you? And she's like,
yes,
we
as far as I heard.
The clouds part. A solution has been made clear. It's so good.
So she doesn't break in because, to be clear, she has a key and redecorates the whole house. So funny.
I mean, honestly, it's really, really smart. Obviously, she doesn't have any intentions of keeping the money, but emptying out the account to force him to finally sign.
Power move.
And honestly, given the circumstances, who could blame her?
She had to resort to drastic measures, and everything was perfectly legal. Do you have a shenani?
One of my favorite shenanigans throughout the whole entire film is actually brought to the watcher's attention by one of my favorite characters, Wade. Wade is a real one. Wade is the new sheriff who is a childhood friend of both of the leads.
Wade is hilarious.
So good. And when he pops in for the first time, he walks through the door and says, felony Melanie. And the rest of the film, we slowly uncover the truths of her past.
A checkered past.
Which include various crimes from shenanigans to full-on felonies. What is it? Cow tipping, destruction of trailers, exploding a cat, burning down the bank.
Stealing catfish.
Yes. And I think that they imply that the cat never died. It got a little singed.
The payoff.
Yeah, the playoff with the really matted, messed up cat. But the fact that she did that when she was like 10? You got the nickname Felony Melanie when you were 10? Holy shit. Of course she's hiding her identity.
Yes.
You can't have people in New York find this out about you.
Especially when the mayor, Andrew's mum, is like, the press will have a field day with this.
Oh, absolutely. I remember writing early on because I couldn't remember all the details of that stuff, but when she walks into the bank and the security guard gets up and is like, I don't want any trouble, ma'am. Yes. And he like leaves as quickly as possible. He just doesn't even want to talk to her. She was 10 when she blew up the bank. You're still scared of her.
I mean, it's a good thing she went into fashion, but it seems like she had the makings of a crime lord or something.
Honestly.
Speaking of Wade, like a quick throwaway where the gents are sitting on top of the water tower and they're all a bit drunk.
Oh, classic water tower scene.
Yeah. And Wade's like, do you guys want to arrest somebody?
So good. We love a small town water tower scene.
Yeah.
Oh, the animals in this film are doing the most. Immediately, we're introduced to this very sweet little hound dog
Oh.
who she mistakes for a different dog because she's been gone for so long. That dog is now passed. But there's a point where the dog jumps into the water to get a bone. And she says, "Can he swim?" And Jake just answers, "Doesn't look like it." Unperturbed, knows that the dog is going to come back up and can swim. But it's a very funny way to answer it because she then spends the rest of the scene nervously darting her eyes to the water to see if the dog's coming back up.
Distracted. It's a very, like, emotionally poignant scene.
I know.
But she's completely distracted by this dog.
Honestly, that was a really good game that they played. Love that. No notes.
Yeah.
And then they revisit the dead dog later when she goes to the pet cemetery.
Which, is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I wasn't sure if that was movie stuff or if that was real.
There's a huge one about 30 to 45 minutes north of here.
Really?
With, like, giant statues, like mausoleum-style dedications to pets.
Oh.
And so she goes to this pet cemetery and delivers the world's worst monologue in the most moving way I've ever seen.
With so much heart.
I was getting misty.
It was masterful.
And it was a bad monologue.
It was not a good monologue, but it was done so well. I was moved.
Yeah.
Reese Witherspoon is just phenomenal.
Honestly.
Including how she dips in and out of the southern accent as it's pertinent to who she's talking to, what her emotional state is, dependent on so many things.
Yeah.
How she moves in and out of that. That's really well done.
And it is fun to think about, was she coming up with a plan in her own script? Did she talk this through with the director? It was obviously very well thought out.
Yes.
It's so fun to see those elements.
It makes the performance so much more nuanced and interesting to watch.
And honestly, this leads me to another shenanigan, which is bad film choices in terms of script and content. And all of it is so beautifully acted.
Yes. Everyone is doing so well with the acting.
And obviously Reese Witherspoon, Patrick Dempsey, Josh Lucas are all getting the most screen time, but not a single secondary character is not meeting them in excellence.
The secondary characters are amazing in this movie.
And all of them are fully fleshed. All of them feel like distinct people. I can side with all of them.
They're not caricatures. The secondary characters are all so nuanced. They have their own little journey that they go on. It's very interesting to see them reacting to Mel be back and then how she behaves. And they have their own things going on as well.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
I think that one piece alone carries so much of this film.
Yeah.
This film could have been so much worse and could have been a complete and utter failure without them. Another good moment of excellent casting.
Oh, the casting is so good. And so many of the secondary characters have gone on to do really incredible work and have such great careers too.
Do you have a shenanny?
I want to talk about Andrew's mother.
Yes.
Because...
we should talk about all the moms doing the most.
Oh my goodness. They get engaged. Melanie obviously realizes that she has a lot of stuff to sort out. Andrew's a public figure. She doesn't want to reveal it to the public. Fair enough. But they try to cover it up in the dumbest way, which is just twisting the ring so that the diamond is palm down.
You needed to put that on another finger.
Don't you have the box?
Yeah.
You just bought it. Do something. Because, of course, Maya is immediately like, oh, Melanie, that's a very specific ring you're wearing on a very important finger.
But I will say, thank God for that, because that montage I told you about earlier is introed because the mom says, what? There's a thing on your finger. Smash cut. We're into the newspaper montage. It's so funny.
It's all over. He's taken. And then just some of the mom's quotes. I have nothing against poor people. They elected me. Like, girl, come on.
That's a hot take.
when they arrive in Alabama and she smacks a mosquito on her neck and she's like, 1 down, 7 million to go.
And the fact that during the wedding scene, she's covered in mosquito bites is so funny.
Such good attention to detail.
And I really love that she has a full-on mental breakdown towards the end because this is apparently going to look too bad on her widow son's history so that he'll never be president if he got left at the altar. And so she starts just yelling at anyone who's nearby.
Wild.
And just turns to Melanie's mother and says, basically, shut up, and then, quote, why don't you go home and fry something? Which is
so unnecessary. What a bizarre dig.
Weirdest dig.
So strange.
It's so rude. And then, of course, Melanie's got to punch her in the face. And honestly, I endorse that punch. I personally would have gone for an insulting slap.
Yes,
but
putting up with so much.
She is felony Melanie, after all. Of course, she's going to punch her in the face.
Oh, yes. She's a firecracker.
Much like the ones she put on that cat's back.
One of the other things the mom said, because she was first so upset, at breakfast, I think, Andrew says to his mum, "You taking this much better than I thought you would. Like, you're handling it really well." And the mum is like, "Well, my poll numbers went up by 2%, so I can't complain." Goodness.
A few of my favorite Melanie mom moments are the silliness on the phone, sitting on her husband's lap, and how he gets really irritated early on.
Because she's relaying the whole conversation back to him
Yeah.
that he can hear.
I know, it's so funny.
The mom also coming in with some sass because there was an outstanding warrant
So
for
good.
another crime
So good.
that Melanie committed.
The tractor.
How many years ago? So she gets arrested by her friend Wade, and the mum is just like, "Oh, I see your priorities. Jake, jail, then home."
Super silly. The character work that they did to show this woman who got herself kind of stuck there,
Yeah.
despite the fact that she's truly in love, that her life has not really turned out the way she would have hoped. And so that's why she put her daughter in insane pageants and all these other things. The one moment that really kind of moved me a little bit was she's really pushing for Melanie to get lost, get out of here, go marry Andrew.
Yeah.
And Melanie says to her, "What's so wrong with being you, Mama?"
Mm.
While it's both really like, oh no, don't get trapped, it's also just, you love your mother.
Yeah.
What is so wrong about being like somebody you love? It's a really sweet moment.
It was moving.
Oh yeah, and my favorite quote that she said a little bit later was after they kind of sort out the details, they're going to get married in the South, and the only request is that Melanie's parents pay for the rehearsal dinner, and they're like, "Sure, we can do that." And she says, "Heck, how often does your only daughter get married?" Pause. Besides the other time.
Oh, Mom, it's okay.
We all get what you're saying.
Yeah,
but it's still a little tender.
Yeah.
Andrew just found out.
He's handling it remarkably well. Oh, can we talk about how he finds out though as well?
Yes.
That was so funny. Jake and Andrew show up to Bobby Ray's house because Melanie has lied about her backstory and has intimated that this is where she's grown up. So they arrive at the door at the same time, and Jake is like, "Oh, are you here for Bobby Ray?"
They have a really fun comedy of errors situation where Jake understands exactly who this is and Andrew understands nothing. And then the reveal is extremely awkward.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Honestly, Jake, like, fuck you for doing that. That's a really mean thing to do. To drive him around without telling him the truth.
Because at the front door, Bobby Ray just like carries on with the story that they told the reporter. "Oh, I'm her cousin. This is Jake. He's also a cousin." So that's the world Andrew's living in.
Right.
Jake basically just says we're in love with the same girl and leaves.
Ugh. Like, I'm gonna just drop a bomb and then I'm gonna peace out.
I'm not gonna deal with it.
That's a little baby move.
Yeah. Andrew is trying to play catch up. And Mel's like, "No, it's my husband."
You married her cousin?
Yeah, he's like, "Please tell me that's a second cousin." Like, this poor man is dealing with so many bombshells.
So good. I do have one other little thing. I do feel like I would be remiss if I didn't say a little something else that might be also a little negative, but I want to say it for all the women out there. during the pet cemetery scene, Jake says something to the effect of, you know, we got pregnant, and they're implying that she miscarries.
Yeah.
And Jake insinuates that Mother Nature knew better than to give her a kid at that time in her life. Trying to say a nice thing, like you were destined for greater things that would have messed up your career.
It sort of held you back, yeah.
And while I understand the spirit with which it was told, every woman needs to understand that is never your fault.
No.
Mother Nature is not involved. It wasn't the stress of the thing that happened that made this happen to you. This is entirely random. The world can be very unfair.
Yeah.
But I just feel like it's super important to mention that because when he said, oh, Mother Nature took care of it, it gave me such the ick that I need to make sure something was said. This is never your fault.
No, it's never your fault. It's also a lot more common than is known because a lot of people don't talk about it because of the shame associated with miscarriage. It's very common and it's not your fault.
The world is full of things that we cannot control. It is not Mother Nature, and it was certainly not you.
No.
Things just happen. Love and empathy to anyone who's ever gone through something like that.
Yeah.
And I really hope that anyone who rewatches it doesn't take that to heart because that moment really bothered me.
Yeah.
And with that, I think, Jane, you said you had one more thing.
I wasn't sure how to do the pivot because it's like something really profound and lovely.
There's no nice pivot. I'll just went right in for it.
Yeah. And then I'm going to talk about dicks. So how do you pivot that?
Just like that, Jane. Just like that.
Yeah, just like that. So Mel's friends come to town and they go to explore. What they don't know is Jake's new glass shop, and they're admiring the work and it's so beautiful. And Mel is telling one of the friends that this is what happens to sand when it's struck by lightning. It creates this beautiful, almost sculpture. And her mentor is like, she's just pulling your dick. And a random extra looks at him and he just looks her up and down and shows his arms out like, what? Like, what's wrong?
And if that ain't the most New York shit I ever saw, I saw that and I felt really seen.
It's very funny. Which really actually makes me want to see his and Bobby's love story because talk about a fish out of water on both ends.
They're both still working. Can we get that film?
Oh my goodness, yes, they are still both working.
Can we please have that film?
We're pitching it right now.
Please. Oh, please. Tell me about how, like, the one guy's career is slowly going down because, you know, like, it's such an ageist thing to be in fashion. And then, like, tell me the story about this guy, like, living his life and how maybe he wants to go back to the country and maybe they both go back to the country together.
It would be so sweet. Oh,
I would love that. I would love that. I would love that.
do it, please. Please, please, please.
Please, 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 please. Amazing. With that hope
Yes.
put into the universe, we are now at Fun Fab Fail.
Look.
Don't meet a me.
Really went into this movie expecting a fun.
Right, I did. I went in expecting fun for sure.
And it wasn't unfun. The acting was really good. They do a lot of fun things. So it saves it from being a fail because my state of being in other fails was just like so aggravated, so irritated, so annoyed, actors not being on the same page, like a whole host of things.
Yeah, it's not strong enough to be a fail because the
No.
acting is incredible, because everyone's committed, because there are fun moments.
Yes. And there are a lot of things done really well. This movie has a lot of heart, there's a lot of humor. So it's not like asleep at the wheel by any means.
No.
It just kind of blindsided us.
Yeah.
And I'm not on board with the end game. I wasn't when I was 16 and I'm still not now. And that makes it difficult
It really does.
for it to be fun.
And so honestly, I have to give it a fine.
Yeah.
I don't feel comfortable enough, like you said, to totally fail her.
No.
And I certainly don't feel comfortable enough to say that it was fun, per se, just because there were too many moments that made me extremely uncomfortable, given the context we have for things now.
Yeah. And it's not a bad movie. It's quite a well-made movie, actually.
Yeah, good shots.
Yeah, good shots. Some creative shots that you don't necessarily expect in a movie of this genre specifically.
A pretty tight plot for what
Yeah.
you were trying to accomplish.
Fun premise. But I'm not excited to rewatch this.
Yeah.
Especially because how it ends with who she ends up with. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, I don't think I would watch it again.
And so that's the litmus test. So
Yeah.
by that standard alone,
Do I want to watch it again?
no. So that's why it has to be a fine.
I think for anybody who would be pretty heartbroken by it aging fairly poorly, it could be a film that may best be left in its entirety in the past, and you just revisit those fun clips that you want to watch with the fun quotes.
Yeah. Because thinking back on the movie, I still look back on it with fondness.
Yo, absolutely.
It hasn't wrecked it.
Yeah.
It was great for its time, hasn't aged the best.
So,
And that's okay. That happens sometimes.
with that, we are now at our favorite moment.
Yeah.
Give me the cheese, please.
Get me. All right.
I am ready. I don't really know what I'm going to say about it yet, but I'm ready.
Okay. 3. Oh, no, you must count us down.
I don't have to.
Okay, well.
We can do whatever we want.
True. Okay. 3,
2, 1. That mystery
Last night's
brick in the back
Philadelphia
of your
roll.
fridge. They're serving the same energy.
Yes, very much so. That's funny.
Not leftover sushi. Why did you put it in your fridge?
I love that that's immediately what you got.
Yeah. You finish it in the restaurant.
Exactly.
Or you say goodbye.
Exactly.
What fresh hell is this leftover sushi?
And why are you eating the mystery brick in the back of your fridge? You should know better. It should have been cleared out. Why are you putting it in your mouth?
Okay, I'm glad that you get it.
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
10 things I hate about you. I think I went first for that.
So I'll go first then. I've chosen that mystery brick in the back of your fridge. And the reason why is because the first thing I thought when I finished watching this movie is, what year is this from? Which is also, I think, what I would ask about that cheese. You look at it and you think, is this still okay? You're like, I know I love this. I could just eat it. But you're like, wait, can I? And the other thing is that the brick of cheese phenomenon, which Jane informed me many episodes ago, is a clearly American phenomenon.
Very much.
It's so American. Alabama is country music and apple pie, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't have a whole lot more than that. It's just the random mystery brick. It's not very good. You gotta cut around the mold a little bit. Why are you putting this in your mouth? Brick in the back of your fridge.
So,
It's vibes.
yeah, I was just going to say vibes. Serving very similar vibes. You went out for sushi, or you ordered some sushi in. You weren't that hungry, and you decided, I'm not going to waste or stuff myself, so I will take this home to be enjoyed. Why?
Why?
Why have you done this?
Mm-mm.
It's something that you loved so much the night before. It was amazing. It was a symphony in your mouth, hit the spot. It's not that it's inedible. It's
Right.
not like day-old nachos.
And it's still technically safe.
Definitely safe. It's still has all the flavors, but
Yeah.
the texture is just not the same. There are better things that you could have eaten.
Yep.
Also, it's cream cheese and sushi, which is not the traditional way to do sushi.
It's not.
And Philadelphia cream cheese, which is very American.
I always forget that little.
So, an ingredient that's often forgotten about in cooking is thyme. And in this instance, time was not on your side,
Yep.
and there's nothing you can do about that. You can't turn back time.
Turn back time.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking it. It was so difficult for me to concentrate on the sentence because my brain is just blasting at me. If I could turn back time.
That was a good one. That sounded just like her. Oh, now I'm getting Moonstruck flashbacks.
Oh no.
Rent free, ladies and gentlemen. That film continues to live rent free. Oh, God.
Oh, why would you tell me? I'm just thinking of Nick Cage's monologue.
You're welcome.
Oh, great.
If I have to suffer, so do you. There you have it. That was our discussion of Sweet Home Alabama.
Let us know your thoughts on the movie, any shenanigans we may have missed, or what cheese you think it is.
You can follow us on Instagram at shenanigansensuepod, or you can email us at shenanigansensuepod@gmail.com.
We hope you'll join us next time, and until then,
What I need to know is if there's a place for me in your future. Bye. By the way, cow tipping is generally considered a myth.
So it is an urban legend.
Also, they're not going to just take it.
Right.
And it's cruel.
It is mean. Why am I just hearing about this from Americans?
Yeah.
There are cows in other countries. Moral of the story, don't hold people hostage, don't tip cows.
Life lessons.